Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you once again to the CLI Homefest Lifestyle Talks. The first ever Cebulan Masters Homefest titled Embrace Home will run until February 15, and you still have a few days left to have that dream home you can embrace at comfortable payment terms and with exclusive perks. Visit us at www.homefest-cebulanmasters.com for more details. We have all enjoyed the last two lifestyle talks on embracing home. And now, to add spice to all our excitement, Cebulan Masters Home Fest brings you Cebu Designers Speak, an Embrace Home talk show. And we have no less than two of Cebu's designers who will share their expertise on how we can better embrace our homes in the new normal. We have interior designer Holly Dychangco, the principal designer at HDH Design Studio. Holly is a graduate of interior architect and design at the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, California, with a master's degree in design management at the Instituto Europe Design in Barcelona, Spain. Holly and her team work with local and regional projects in all areas from residential, hospitality, and commercial interiors. Due to the changing times, Holly Studio has also launched the e-design platform to further expand the reach and affordability of their services to a more global market. Our second guest is no stranger to Cebulan Masters as she did quite a lot of interior design and construction works for the company and for other real estate developers. A licensed architect who topped the architectural board exam in the 1989 at fourth place, architect and interior designer Germain is a member of the College of Fellows for the Philippine Institute of Architects. She has practiced the profession for almost 30 years. And to make the show even more stimulating, we invited Cebu's very own Debbie Palao as our talk show host. As we all know, Debbie is a homegrown furniture designer whose excellent furniture pieces and lightings decorate homes all over the world, particularly Europe. Debbie has participated in Europe and Japan trade shows, bringing the Debbie Palau brand, and has curated international design exhibitions, particularly in Milan, Cologne, and Tokyo. She sits as a chairperson and board member in several local and international design and women's organizations and is a speaker in numerous international design summits promoting Cebu, women in design, and Philippine indigenous materials. Debbie is also the co-founder of HoliCow Gallery Store. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our guest and host of the CLI Homefest Lifestyle Talk Show, Cebu Designers Speak.
Thank you, Dane, for that introduction. And thank you, Cebulan Masters, for organizing this interesting event. In response to what the pandemic brought into our lives, such unforeseen changes. Our plans were put on hold, our schedules changed, our work landscapes changed too. Suddenly, we find ourselves at home almost all the time. Home now becomes a space that has to have different functions. The space we occupy needs to be more than ever planned. But before I proceed, I'd like to greet our online audience a very good afternoon. And of course, our lovely guests, Holly and Girlie. I'm very happy to be with you today. It's been almost a year that we have lived the new normal. Virtual meetings, masks, face shields, Zoom has become part of our lives. Our home has become offices, classrooms as well. Did anyone ever expect this? What do we do? Forced by circumstances for the past months, we learned along the way. We simply had to go with the flow. We adapted, we reinvented, we evolved, right? What do you think?
I agree with you, Deb.
I couldn't agree more, Deb.
True, our homes have now become and have taken on new roles. It now needs to fulfill many needs at the same time and for each and every member of the family. It's no longer just a place to rest or for after work activities. For many, it's a meaningful lifestyle change. This afternoon, we are going to give our audience, who are homeowners and home buyers, some ideas on what to do and how to design limited home spaces to experience a good quality of life in the midst of the new normal. Girlie, let's start with you and with this question. How did the pandemic affect you? Your way of life, how did you live it? How can we thrive considering the new lifestyles we have now?
Well, Debbie, I'm going to talk about how the pandemic has affected me personally, and somehow I would talk about how it has affected most of us in general. Me, like personally, my immediate need was because at the onset of lockdown, I think I had it because I had all the symptoms of COVID. It's just that I don't have any access to any kind of swab test or rapid test at that time. But then I really felt I had it, but I'm glad it didn't progress into a more serious one. So I had myself isolated in my daughter's room. So first need that I had in mind was really an isolation room. So what happened is I had to reclaim our attic, which used to be like a guest room, but then it turned out to be a storage where we dump all our stuff there. There were a lot of winter clothings up there. So it was like a huge mess at the attic. So we had to reclaim it and put it back to its guest room role in the house. So we have an area where we could isolate if ever, God forbid, we need to isolate without having to displace any members of the house. But the thing is, the first space that has emerged out of all of this is the need to have like a sterilization area, right, Deb? Like
True.
we always, the first thing in mind was to sanitize ourselves before getting inside our homes. We didn't want anything brought in from outside that is bad for our family inside a home. So me, I had then a small foldable table, a foldable stool, table where I could like just dump all my stuff where I bought and brought from outside. So no packages are going to get inside the house. There's a bin nearby that I could throw the packages in. I had the basket for slippers where I could remove my shoes at the entrance porch of our home. So somehow these are the basic things that we have thought of. We have like a hanger where we could put all our PPEs. We could hang our PPEs there. I mean, at the time of lockdown, there was only a few areas that we go to. Grocery lang jud. So sayang naman we change clothes every time we wash our clothes. So I found it necessary to don on PPEs just so I could just like take it off once I'm home so that I wouldn't have to wash my clothes. And you see that emerging everywhere. So somehow that area has to be identified and designed these days. So you could go traditional using woods, and you could go modern as shown in the slide. Depends on the existing architecture or design that you have for your homes. Basic for that is, of course, basement for your slippers, alcohol sanitation, garbage bin, the sanitation mat, and the mud areas. The interesting part here is that I had a client who had this, or we included this in our plan, but hers is more like complex because we had to enter to a mudroom through a back utility door, where we had to perk up the helpers, toilet and bath so that everybody can use it. So once they're inside the mudroom, they get rid of all their clothes and don and wash themselves up and don on robes so that they could enter the house without anything that they have on outside to make it more safe for them. So I guess that's also something that could be considered by others, right? Then we have this concern about my daughter's online classes and my home office. So nobody prepared us for online classes. And I had to make changes in her small room layout to give way to a desk. Plus, I had it renovated so that her staying at home will be pleasant for her. Kay luoy man all these kids who have to really stay at home and not be able to go out. So I made it her man cave where I gave into all the requests that she had. She had all LED lights, changing lights. I had her put sofa bed inside her room so that her cousin can sleep over, because that's the only guest that we can have at home. I guess this is the same dilemma for everyone. And allow me to give you some tips on how to create a home office or homeschool desk in tight spaces. Tips on home office design are following. First is we could identify a usable corner in our home. You may use like metal brackets that are readily available in hardwares and put on whatever tabletop you would want. Second is you move bed. Set it aside as a sofa bed or a day bed to make room for a desk, as in the photo. The next is we could use retractable mechanism to hide away the desk if ever we have other use for the area. And then we have also, for the same reason, we could have like fold away tables to be used as desks. Then we could just fold them away if we have another use for the space. Next is we could move our bed up by creating a loft and use the space under as a desk. Next is we could have like a modern mechanism. We can fold away bed in like a Murphy's bed and have a desk in place, and vice versa. Hideaway desk for the use of a bed for multifunctional areas, such as this one. No matter how you solve your home office requirements, please take note of your existing furnitures and make sure that what you add on would go well with the furnitures that you have already in your homes, so that you don't just pick the nearest available furniture that you can grab from anywhere. You have to think about how it would look amidst all the existing furnitures that you would have. The next areas that has emerged is the area that would concern our health issues. Since much of the protection we do against the virus had to do with being in the pink of health, exercise is very important. Since we can no longer go to the gym, me and my husband, we only make use of the space in between our TV and our sofa to do our exercises. My husband, no problem, because he has only body weight exercises. Me, no problem too, because I do power stretches and I do dancing, so I don't need equipment. But then I do have clients, like in the photos, who have converted narrow spaces into gym. At first, they thought they couldn't do it, but then there's always a way around things, right, Deb? So they were amazed at what they were able to get with such a narrow space that they have for their gym requirements. The fifth concern is I have a construction team, Deb. So, but other than that, there's need for converting spaces. First, I would like to share with you how a client transformed his one-car garage into a full office because he needed his staff nearby. So he created a one-car garage office and transformed it into a full office without having people enter their home. And me too, I addressed my needs also. I had to convert an area where I could gather my construction workers. I cannot do Zoom with them. So I have this small space.
Right, you have to gather them.
Lisod kaayo. My daughter's outgrown play area was converted to a safe gathering space with them, so that they don't have to get inside their house, inside our home. So there's this air well that I have right beside it. So I converted it to an indoor garden where I can get my oxygen from. I had a project also, like right now I have a project, an ongoing project which had a lanai that has to go through the main house before getting into it. But now we changed it. We provided already an access from outside going directly to the lanai without having to get inside the house. So those are the important things that a house would have right now, somewhere where they could gather without having germs enter the house from other
Correct.
people. Now, let me share to you like what
Get
activities
ingenious.
have been. There are activities that have emanated out of the lockdown and of quarantine, di ba, Deb? So we see people who are having hobbies, people who discover that they have this kind of talent. So our homes were transformed. First among all these types of home is the plantita home, di ba? The the plantitas and plantitos are all over right now, and I am not exempted. So here are some tips in decorating with plants. So when you put in plants, no matter how big they are inside the house, inside our houses, we should arrange them in such a way that they have different heights so that we could create depths with them, be them big plants or be them like little plants that you put on the counter or on the table. See how wonderful, how beautiful plants are.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it's really good to invest in pots that would go with the existing interior design of your home so that they all the more would look so beautiful as in the show in the picture. Now, for lack of space, we might want to consider testing our artistic skills by doing container gardens. Like you can have one big pot and have all the plants that you want inside it. And you could decorate plants in a row, as in the photos. So as long as they're in the same height and they're the same variety, it's okay to lay them out in a row. And again, for lack of space, we could go vertical. But they have you cannot say there's no room for plants because you could always go vertical. How wonderful all these plant pockets are that could create like just insert the plants there and you could create like a vertical garden if you want. So there's always a way around. Yeah, a way around things, diba? And we can see them happening around, diba? The next kind of home that is emanating right now is home with creative dining happening in place. We have like a home of a chef. Some of us have realized that they have a knack for cooking delicious dishes for our families. So here comes all this thematic dining experiences. You can go like Korean, you can go like Budol, even like course meals. The thing is, you have to like buy all these equipments, additional kitchen equipments, additional dining tablewares that we need to put space in. But the good thing of lockdown is a lot of people have been into spring cleaning, so they have gotten rid of things that they don't need. So I'm pretty sure they have spaces for additional kitchen equipments that they would bring in because of all these like dining experiences that they want their family to enjoy in. Kaya di naman makaadtog restaurant there, di ba? Another kind of home that has come out. See, is the Netflix home where binge watching is happening. A lot of people are going out buying the biggest TVs that their pockets could afford. So the thing is, people would have to know that the healthier way to buy TVs is that your eyes should be 3 times the dimension of your TV to make it very safe and very healthy for yourself. So people should take note of that. You cannot just buy the biggest TV that you can afford, but then make sure that you stay healthy in the midst of binge watching all your movies. And this is what all the families have been enjoying lately. Now, which kind of home do our audience have? I'm pretty sure they could like associate themselves in one of it right there. Now,
Right.
the things I have discussed are merely the coping part of the pandemic. Things are really going to change from here on. More permanent changes are going to take place, and things are never going to be the same again, but Debs. Not in a scary sense, but in a practical sense. I mean, imagine our grandparents having to go through war. So this is like war for us. So this is pleasantly kind of acceptable than the ones they had before. so let's just adjust. So let's just be happy with what we have and be resilient. So I guess everybody is resilient. Mm.
Thank you, Gerlie, for that insightful presentation and those practical ideas. With the new normal, there are indeed more immediate needs that have to be addressed, and right away. Some design adjustments of our homes will have to be done. Sanitation and sterilization areas, of course, take top priorities. Intelligent use of space, even though limited, could actually create functional areas that contribute to our overall well being. The possibilities are endless, especially with technology that actually allows us to practically do many things wherever we are. Now, let's listen to Holly, a very young interior designer who understands so well what the reinvented lifestyle of the young generation of homeowners requires in this new normal. Holly, how do you think home interiors should be designed, especially those with limited spaces, to fulfill most, if not all, of the needs of the young family or a single homeowner?
Debbie, good afternoon. Thank you for having me today. And of course, welcome to all the viewers out there watching. I'm very delighted to be able to share with you some of my design tips on being able to embrace home, especially during these new times. Today, as we evolve, the appreciation of our homes have definitely become a big part of our daily lives. And especially during this pandemic, we not only look at the trends that are happening now in design, but we also consider what we can do to make our homes really adapt to this new normal. That also includes, of course, today's biggest concern of most homeowners. And I know, Miss Debbie, you've explained that, how to integrate home offices and classrooms, and still being able to live in a functional space. So today I wanted to share with you and the viewers, of course, just a little of the tips how to adapt in the new normal, considering not only the principles, like I mentioned, about design, because of course, Miss Debbie, you can always easily research that on the internet, I believe. And, Google is a very big platform to be able to share that. But with firsthand experience, I think this is something that we designers have, we're given the opportunity to really share and learn throughout this pandemic. So today I wanted to really go on 3 points, which you can see on the screen. The first one emphasizing on the needs for safety, privacy. The second one, considering designs that create a work-life balance. And the third one, which is a little bit already shared with many before, but the integration of technology to be able to enhance spaces. So these are the 3 points that I wanted to highlight. And I wanted to share just a little bit of each one to the viewers today, not the regular type of design, because these tips are not the conventional design tips that, we usually read up on, Miss Debbie. And I think that as an interior designer, these tips have definitely played a role, and a very important role, in designing some of my clients' homes. So let's move on to the first one. Let's move on to designing for safety and privacy. So safety and privacy, I think we all know what that means. And, when we talk about privacy and safety, of course, our homes alone, Ms. Debbie, are really a private place for a lot of us. I know it is for me. And right now we see that there's a lot of spaces that we can consider also that are a little bit more private versus, the home itself, considering places like our bedrooms, our bathrooms, and of course, some of the less common areas. So if you can see here on the screen, I just showcased some of the works that we've also done throughout the pandemic that we've used to integrate for the safety of the homes, like one using screens for adding room dividers, curtains, which I will explain a little bit further later on, and also the second one, which is soundproofing solutions. These are some of the trends that not only we are using, and I think that these solutions are a very good way to create a room within a room. So I'll bring you to the first one, which I wanted to share with you, which are the design screens. So on our next slide, I'm showing you a little bit of some images, not the conventional screens that you can imagine or room dividers. Diba? I think a lot of times when people think room dividers or screens, it might look a little bit tight or a little bit like congested, but with the pandemic happening now, we need to be able to create the room to be a little bit more compartmentalized, especially if you have a common area or if you're living in a living one bedroom unit or a studio unit. We need to be able to find ways to integrate dividers or curtains. So these are some options that you can see on screen that are pretty hip and pretty modern, and I think what a lot of the people would like to say is kind of trendy these days now, Miss Debbie. So another one which I mentioned a while ago is soundproofing. So we move on to the next photos here. You can see that soundproofing may be quite neglected these days. Actually, the majority of the times, we are not as concerned about the sound bouncing off homes, diba? So, we usually think, our homes are already designed to have a good area for sound. And of course, it plays a big aspect in the environment. And especially living in condos or smaller spaces, sound isn't really much considered, especially with the thin walls that a lot of, the rooms have. So these soundproofing solutions, such as these ones, and you can see here I've integrated some padded walls. These are items that have sound buffering experiences, and also you can see in the left side there are wood slats. So these are also some examples actually for materials that could be used, not necessarily those old types of designs like how they say eggshell type of materials were the very common ways to buffer sound back then. But you can see that now we don't have to, there's multiple ways of actually creating that. Now, moving on to the next slide, which is designing for safety. So I know it is important now, aside from, the fact that we are improving it, or privacy is important to us, but designing for safety is another key aspect that we need for our homes. So I just wanted to highlight actually some of these materials or things that we can use in our household, like antibacterial fabrics, antibacterial surfaces that we can use, the type of materials that we can use, and even wall paints. You'd be very much surprised with the types of fabric surfaces and wall paints that are actually available in the market that you can integrate in your homes. So samples for antibacterial fabrics would be upholstered. Of course, we would be using this in our furnitures, and you would see it in our curtains, right? And I know these are usually the areas that you can see that would actually take a lot of the bacteria, no? Like a lot of times we're saying, most of the dust particles or the dust mites are coming from the fabrics that we're using in our homes. So, good examples for use of this would be bamboo. So there's a lot of materials like bamboo viscose fibers that are available in the market right now. And of course, those natural antibacterial products. There's a lot of different types of fabrics that are available that are easier to clean and easier to maintain during these times. For the surfaces, we can really take a look at, how surfaces are actually one of the most touched parts in our homes, no? So especially our kitchens. So if you think about it, especially now when during the pandemic, everybody's trying to entertain and trying to really keep the family together, or, like Architect Girlie said a while ago, she mentioned about how everybody's becoming, a different profession now, becoming plantitas and plantitos and all of these other things. So we can see that the kitchen has been one of the areas where we are all gathering. So countertops, cabinets, and handles, these are a few of the highly used areas that we have been touching. So the surfaces that we should choose here should be very important when you create your design or maybe even add towards your design. So some of the antibacterial surfaces that I would recommend you use for kitchens would be engineered quartz. It is non-porous, so it's also very scratch resistant. So in nature, bacteria won't really settle in as much when they're using this type of material to disinfect also. And of course, there are also some materials such as laminates. So you can consider premium types of laminates, copper hardwares. All of these are some examples of antibacterial microbial types of surfaces. And of course, ceramic and porcelain tiles that can be also used for flooring and walls are a good integration to consider, especially when you're at home. Sometimes, you think carpet makes it a little bit more homey, but at the same time, it does use a lot of, or it does, take up a lot of bacteria as well. So the last one is antimicrobial wall paints. So it's actually kind of unusual because we think paint is paint, no? But usually there is a type of paint that are used in interiors that would be more resistant to mold and fungus and bacteria. So I would highly suggest for those who are deciding, especially for those who want to be renovating their homes or who are just purchasing homes right now, really consider on some of these items, the antibacterial fabric surfaces and wall paints. They might be a little bit more pricier in terms of, cost, but in the long run, you do save on, your health as well. And I think that's one of the biggest part that we are really considering now. Now, the next part of this presentation is I wanted to share with you guys what is really important now is our well-being and wellness. No, I think a lot of us, have really considered how we can improve and maintain our well-being this time. And I know everybody's very concerned, like if you can see now, people are really taking time to do all of these new exercises, even like what Miss Girlie said a while ago on even the small spaces in the room, you're trying to integrate your bikes or your yoga mats. So these are some things that we really need to consider when we create our homes today and embracing it. Areas like meditation corners, yoga area, rock gardens, indoor plants. I think the majority of us already understand, before the pandemic even, there was a certain trend of people trying to bring the outside in already, right? But I think, what's happening now is these are some of the items or some of the spaces that have been neglected. And, with the opportunity of being at home now, we can really hone into using and creating the space to really make space for these items. And of course, wellness rooms really invite everything from meditation to sound therapy to massage rooms. And, we see how it's a really good way to really implement this in our home designs today, especially that it's very difficult now to go out to yoga studios or do that. So yes, that one. And the next one I would like to share is work-life home balance. So, many of us are working remotely. I know even now we're doing this Zoom meeting. It's quite unusual for some people, especially for those who don't really know how to use the technology. I know my parents struggle from that. And so, until now, they kind of still figure out ways on how to ask us to still help them, no? And of course, technology still has somewhat their glitches. But I think in lines of work-life balance, there's just, now that we're at home, it just has been blurred. There's just a integration between work now inside our homes and our lives. So we have to bring our work home now instead of, the teaching before where work is work, home is home. So now we have to live to integrate this together in our homes. So, the use of, I wanted to share this because I wanted to show you, especially in this next slide, how to achieve this work and life and home balance. A lot of times, the Japanese actually, going back to that, the Japanese have actually used this kind of style a long time, using transformable pieces inside their homes, working with small spaces, integrating from beds to dining areas, and, versatility, just being able to be versatile with that. And of course, the next one would be ergonomically sound and functional pieces. The perfect desk, a comfortable office chair, the right lighting will only make your workspace much more pleasing and inspiring to get into the right mindset. These are some things that you definitely need to invest in, especially now as we embrace home. And the last part of today's topic I would like to share is technology. So, of course, technology has made our lives easier, like I said a while ago, connecting people, and it's easier to get together. But same with homes. The integration of technology in homes in terms of smart gadgets. And I know I just finished a project right now in the house. They wanted their whole home smart, and it was so fascinating because you can really program that from the entry of the door to the lights to your air conditioning to your CCTVs to your microwave, and it's really a no touch technology. It's very, very fascinating. But of course, a lot of people ask me to, Holly, it's expensive, diba? Like to get all into the smart homes and all of these devices. However, I do say it might be a little bit pricey in terms of that, but it is pretty much affordable already. Even if you head out to the more local brands, not necessarily bigger, smart home gadgets, but there are little plugins that you can put on your own, that you can actually make your home a little bit smarter and touch, like using hands-free. So that's one of the things that I would like to also share with technology, especially in our homes today. So, with all of these simple tips, we can now really just implement these all in our new norm. Safety, well-being, of course, work-life balance, integration of technology, and of course, there are other technical things that we'd like to do. And I know Architect Girlie already explained that a while ago. And that's why I just wanted to share just a few of these things to our viewers today. And it's important because these are some of the things that we tend to neglect also when we start to build our homes. So, my tip for you guys today also is make sure that you make your home a space that works for you. And of course, a space for your new normal lifestyle. Thanks, Miss Debbie. Thanks for the listeners as well.
That was very interesting and brilliant, Holly. Safety.
Yeah, thank you, Holly.
Safety is definitely of utmost importance, along with privacy and well-being. Work, life, balance is not impossible to achieve. Can even be more enhanced with technology, as Holly said. I love the part about soundproofing. I think very few people think about that. Girlie, do you have something to add to that?
Oh, Holly covered a lot of wonderful things. I was enlightened by Holly's presentation. But let me just add to certain expectations after all of this. I mean, I know that all the developers, especially Landmaster, early on have looked into emerging spaces addressing the need for the new normal in their developments. I mean, I could imagine, di ba, Holly, you would imagine lobbies to be not the same anymore. They would probably look different now. Lobbies would somehow seem to be like a statement space where it could tell you if it's a high-end development or if it's a low-end development. I don't see any more lobbies as converging areas from now on. If they are going to be still converging areas, they probably would not have like a centralized lounging area layout that is what is usual now. They probably would be segmented already, where privacy is being addressed, as Holly has said. Or they might just as well be like a statement space in the future where you could just pass through, like an area where artworks could be displayed, but it's not somewhere where people can linger.
Yeah.
As Ali had said, materials for furnishing and fit outs will change specification. Diba? Our materials now, we think about anti-corrosiveness or their fire retardant properties or their waterproofing properties. But now, as Holly had mentioned, we'd probably be hearing a lot of the antimicrobial properties of the materials that we will be using in the future. So they will be banking on those terms. And then another clue for us being able to find out if the materials is antimicrobial, Holly, would be probably if it can be subjected to bleaching, cleaning, then that is antimicrobial, di ba?
Yeah, because
And condo units marketability would be different already, huh?
Maintaining the house is important as well.
Yes, so you'd probably, the safer way to find out if your materials are antimicrobial, if you can subject it to bleaching, then it is antimicrobial, di ba? Condo units marketability can now bank on the presence of home offices or airy, well-sized balconies. Sa una, we don't pay attention to balconies, di ba? It's only at this moment that we appreciate the balconies that we have in condominium units. So these are like marketing tools already for the new developers, for the new developments that are going to take place. And you'd probably hear of a lot more UV lights in lighting systems. We'd probably have multi-filter system in air conditioning. So that will be their salient points already. So all with regards to all these things that we do not see, that is how products are emerging now. Window systems maximizing passive cooling will be highlighted. We now have a post-COVID market, and this will come into place sooner or later. That's it, Deb.
What a feast of ideas. How lucky for homeowners to hear all these splendid new normal design viewpoints straight from you, the interior designers who are embracing homes. Home spaces, regardless of area, can now be designed to deliver needs of its homeowners aesthetically, graciously, in the best quality of life possible. The key there is actually design. Thank you for sharing your ideas, ladies. Would you like to give our audience some last words? Holly?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this topic is really an amazing thing to bring up. And of course, we'd like to thank Landmasters for giving us this opportunity to share as well some of our ideas. And as a designer these days, when given an opportunity to design a home, it is really important to understand the importance of how your lifestyle fits in before really creating the design as well. Everybody's needs are different, and especially with these trying times, we all have different aspects like privacy, safety, comfort, well-being, especially all of these things to consider, not just our outer world, but our inner world as well. So when designing homes, we are working on creating and embracing our inner space. Our homes should also be a sanctuary where, as we evolve, and our homes should also be that too. I think that's something to keep in mind these days. I think that's really all I wanted to share today, and I'm very happy to be able to give that to our audience.
Girlie, any last words for our audience?
Well, Alia said everything. No, actually, it's there's a tendency for us to say, "Oh, I wish time would go back to how they used to be. Things should go back the way they used to be." But we have to face it. We have to be confronted with this. It's like this is part of evolution for us. So what I guess I have to say is welcome to the new normal. And I would like to thank all the audience who were patient in listening to our views. So thank you so much, Deb, for hosting us this afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much.
Once again. Thank you, Girlie. Thank you, Holly. If there's one last thing I would like to say, it's time for the homeowners now to really appreciate that there are needs now for professionals like the professional interior designers and architects. They can't just wing it themselves. They need professional help. Thank you, Landmasters, for having us as part of this milestone event and for also supporting the Cebu Design Week, particularly the Blue Mango Awards a few months ago. We are excited to continue this partnership with you. Good afternoon, everyone, and stay safe.
What a lively discussion. Thank you so much for imparting your valuable insights that we can learn from as we embrace home in the new normal. Home indeed is a place where we can explore our creativity and find possibilities that are endless. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here in the CLI Homefest Embrace Home Talk Show in your own homes or from wherever you are logging in. See you on February 15, 5 p.m. as Mr. Extraordinary Ian Veneracion will entertain us with a special performance. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
You dream of a place for you to own. We build a place for you to call your home. Hand in hand every step of the way. Know that we're here to stay. With hands on service right from the start.